Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a pretty interesting episode for you guys that we want you guys to stick around for. So please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, as y'all know, that Ime Udoka story pretty much took over the news airwaves for probably 2 straight weeks, right? Everyone was talking about it, and I think we all know pretty much what transpired there. I think we know what he did and this and this and this. The thing became such a polarizing topic that it actually created other things to talk about in media, and especially when Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith had their exchange. Then, of course, Malika Andrews and Kendrick Perkins had their exchange. Is something that we talked about quite a bit on this channel, and everyone, gave their 2 cents on the matter. But now that the dust is settled, right, and now that the NBA season is beginning today, it's time to really get back to the basketball side of things, right? No one has really spent much time really talking about that and how that decision could potentially affect this Boston Celtics group going into the season. And that's the aspect of it that we want to focus on today here and really give you guys a well thought out explanation of what we think could potentially happen going into the season. But before we get into that, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts, and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds, someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Now, let's get into this thing here, right? I think what a lot of us need here is some context. So let's go back. Before Ime Udoka took over the head coaching position for the Boston Celtics, they were floundering. Okay, they were not doing very good. They were an uninspired group. They were pretty much a 500 team. Before he took over the team last year, they had an 18-21 record. Okay, an 18-21 record. They were below 500 team. They had lost their defensive bite, which they didn't really have, and the team just didn't seem to be inspired, and the results basically showed that. Now, the team did have talent. In previous years, they had made some runs in the Eastern Conference, but I think at that point, a lot of people felt like that particular group had kind of run its course, right? That they were going to be one of the good teams. They were going to be a playoff team, but no one really considered that Boston Celtics group to be a threat in the Eastern Conference. Then what happened? Ime Udoka took over the team. And after he took over the team ended up finishing the year with a 51-31 record. Just think about the turnaround that the team had. They ended up becoming the best defensive team in the entire NBA, and they had a league leading #1 defensive rating, right? The Boston Celtics turned into a hell of a defensive team, and y'all saw that throughout the playoffs, right? It was beautiful to watch, and a lot of people said it made them very nostalgic that, this is the 90s brand of basketball. It was beautiful, right? And Ime Udoka had his fingerprints all over that turnaround. And it was one of the reasons why even former head coach Jeff Van Gundy, whose last team I believe he coached was the Houston Rockets, he basically came out and said that Ime Udoka, he said Ime is a really smart guy who has the patience for the job, right? That's what Jeff Van Gundy had to say about Ime Udoka. And a lot of people around the NBA community were basically praising him for the job that he ended up doing. And obviously, as y'all know, he took a very young group to the NBA Finals, and they ended up losing the finals, I believe, in 6 games, if I remember correctly. Then what happened. The news came out, and the Boston Celtics elected to suspend the head coach for an entire season. And one person brought up the point that I think it was Jay Williams, right? And Jay Williams, I believe he said, wasn't the punishment a bit too severe? Now, for some people saying, well, what do you mean it wasn't too severe? Think about it. The last time an NBA player got suspended for an entire season was Ron Artest, when there was the Malice at the Palace, that brawl between the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons. Artest got an entire year, but you could understand that. I mean, you just look at what happened and you can understand, okay, I can see why they decided to suspend this guy for an entire year. It makes sense. But in the case of Ime Udoka, some considered that particular move to be a bit severe, right? Like to suspend him for an entire year, which brings us to the other aspect of this entire situation, which is this. When the Boston Celtics decided that they were going to suspend their head coach, their rookie head coach at the time, would help coach that group to an NBA Finals appearance. I think the first that they've made in the last decade, if I'm not mistaken. The last time the Boston Celtics were in the NBA Finals was in 2010 when they were playing against the Lakers. Think about it. That's how far we're going back here. So with them making that decision, it presents a major question. And the question is this. If this team fails to get back to the NBA Finals, or at the very least, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, would it be fair to say that the Boston Celtics made the wrong decision to suspend Ime Udoka for the entire season? Or could you say, no, the decision was correct, and I'm going to live with the fact that this group, that the organization could have essentially just said, you know what, we're going to punt on this year. Like, we're just going to throw away this entire year. And if that's the decision that they're making, is that a smart one? You have a group that has been playing together for years. One of their players last year, Marcus Smart, just finished winning Defensive Player of the Year. This team looked like they finally broke through and at least made it to the NBA Finals. And one thought that this year they were going to be even better before that news broke, because they had the finals experience, and you're going to get better with more experience the longer you are together as a group. So for them to now all of a sudden decide, you know what, we're going to remove that coach, is basically saying that, listen, we're ready to basically not make it back to the finals. Because to me, when you look at the other teams in the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're their championship team. You look at the Brooklyn Nets. Although that group hasn't won a championship, they have a lot of championship experience and a lot of playoff experience, right? And I'm not sure if the interim head coach, Joe Mazzulla, will be able to steer that ship through turbulent waters, so to speak, and to get that team out of the Eastern Conference and back to the NBA Finals. So I think it's a thought experiment worth, paying attention to, throughout the season, because, that was something. They could potentially be punting on an opportunity to win a championship. So these are my thoughts and opinions. And what I want to know from you guys is this: what do you think about the scenarios that I presented to you? Ultimately, do you think that the Boston Celtics made the right decision? If not, if you were in their position, what decision would you have made? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We'll catch you guys on the next one.